We'll be posting information about all of the different cuts and measurements, but right now Aldo's gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm turning the camera over. So here we are, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. So Al, what are you doing now?
So I'm gonna start constructing the frame to attach to the desktop.
Okay.
Is a 2x4 piece of 3/4 inch CDX plywood.
Okay.
First off, I had made 2 cuts with pocket holes on each side, 43 inches long. I pulled in 1 inch around my plywood as a guide, and I snapped a line just to kind of guide me and see exactly where I'm going to position the 2x2s.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to start with some wood glue. And we're going to use some clamps to fasten it down. Once I position it.
And how long do you typically do that for? Like, how long does it take to dry?
The glue?
Yeah.
I would say at least give it 24 hours.
Okay. So what are you gonna do next?
So right now I'm positioning the 43 inch piece where I need it so I could pre-drill the holes.
And how many holes are you pre-drilling?
So on the 43 inch piece, I'm going with 6 holes.
Okay.
And I'm going to use 2-inch coarse screws.
Yep.
To fasten it to the desktop. You want to make sure you don't sink the 2-inch screws too far in, because then they'll poke out on the other side.
Okay, yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Alright, now that we got that side in, we're going to start on the other side.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and move then.
And it's the same exact process.
Fantastic. Alrighty, so we just glued and screwed on the two 43-inch pieces. And what are we gonna do now, Al?
So now we're attaching the 19-inch pieces with the pocket holes on each side.
Okay.
I'm going to put 3 2-inch core screws on the 19 pieces, and I pre-drill.
Okay. And you've already put the glue down, right?
I already put the glue down
so
and
first,
clamped it in place.
So first you put the glue down, then you clamp it, then you drill 3 holes, and then you put in the 3 2-inch screws, right?
That's correct.
Awesome. And we do it on both sides. Okay, what are we doing next, Al?
Okay, we're about to attach the legs that are cut at 30 inches.
Okay.
Basically, you want to make sure you put glue on everything you're doing here.
Okay.
And I'm going to use 2.5-inch core screws in my pocket holes.
Let me move so I can show that.
Okay.
Oh, that's perfect.
Put 2 on each side.
Okay.
To get a good fasten.
And then you just repeat that for all 4 legs?
That's correct.
Awesome.
Clean up the glue. And that's all there's to it.
Okay, Al, what are we doing now?
Okay, now we're going to attach the other 2 legs that I have cut at 28.5 and put pocket holes on one side of each.
Okay.
There we go. And what I also did, I pulled from this leg inside of this leg to the inside of this leg at 13 inches. I made a mark if you want to come in here.
Okay.
Chelsea. I made a mark at 13 inches and 1.5 inches. just because that's the width of the 2x2.
And
that's where it's going to sit.
Can you clarify, what are these legs for?
These are the legs that are going to help support the shelf.
Okay.
That's going to go in later on.
So they're like the inside legs.
Correct.
For the shelf. Got it.
So again, all I'm going to do is just put some glue down.
Okay.
Make sure that I'm in my mark.
And
I'm going to fasten it down with a 2.5 inch.
These inside legs, how many pocket holes do they have?
Each 2x at any point of attachment has 2 pocket holes.
Okay.
And all they are guides for the screws.
And you said that you're using the 2.5 inch screws?
2.5 inch screws, yes.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
All right, that's the first one, and we have the second one that will be going right here.
Awesome.
Right.
So can you start us off by just walking through the measurements and cuts of what you have right now?
Okay, so what I did, and this is for the shelf. What I'm going to do here now, I'm actually going to attach the framing to the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually like to do this ahead of time, and that way when it comes down to attaching the shelf, I can just put it in and screw it in all at one time.
Okay.
But what I'm using here is for the shelf, it's, let me go ahead and just double check myself. It's a 22 by 16 inch piece of 3/4 inch CDX, same as the desktop.
Okay.
And what I do, I notch out 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch squares on each corner, and that's basically to make room for the legs that I'm going to be screwing this to.
Okay.
Okay, so let me go ahead and just start.
So we're essentially following the same process as we did for the desktop, right?
Exactly.
We're putting wood glue down, and then we're going to screw it in.
And you want to make sure that you have the 2x2s flush with your plywood on the outside.
Okay.
And what I like to do, I like to use clamps
Yep.
to make sure that it stays in place as I screw it down.
So are you going to go through the same process where you drilled some holes first?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to pre-drill, and I'm going to use 2-inch core screws here. And those are here. Let me get my drill bit back. Make sure we're all flush here, which we are, so. And again, you don't need much. I'm going to use 3 screws to hold down the 19-inch pieces, and maybe 2 on the 13-inch pieces.
Okay, so you drill the holes first, and then you put the screws in. And you said these are 2-inch
These
screws?
are 2-inch core screws, yes.
Okay.
Oh. And again, you don't want to sink your screws in too deep, because you don't want them to pop out on the other side.
Yep.
And you just repeat that all the way around until you have all your framing attached.
Awesome. Okay, Al, so things are really coming together. What are we doing now?
So now we're about to attach the shelf, which I already attached the 2x2s to the shelf.
Okay.
And again, I have my cutouts for the legs.
Nice.
And these are 1.5 by 1.5 cutouts.
Okay.
So what I did, I went ahead and did it. I measured 20 inches and made a mark all the way around, and that's going to be my reference line for the height of the shelf, and also the supports that I'm going to use on the back end.
And just to clarify, the mark is with just a standard pencil?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, it's just a reference line, and most likely going to end up sanding it out later before I paint the desk.
Awesome.
So let me go ahead and what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to line up the 2x2 and not the plywood. So the 2x2 is going to be lined up with that 20-inch mark.
Okay. And then you just clamp it together to hold it?
So right now I'm going to use these clamps But yeah, you basically just clamp it together until you get a chance to screw it in.
So these clamps are really handy, aren't they?
Especially, yes, especially if you're working alone.
Yeah.
These really come in handy and act as an extra set of hands.
And they're not expensive, right?
No, I think I paid about $8.
Okay, awesome.
And I also have these clamps, which I like to use.
And what's that for, Al?
And this is so I could get everything lined up exactly where I need it. And again, these are just clamps, again, different type of clamps. Anything to help make the job easier.
And just for all of our viewers, we are now building on our deck because our garage is completely full of wood.
That's right.
It's a gorgeous day out here in Maryland right now.
And now that I have that in place, I just want to make sure everything's lined up
Okay.
where it should be. Looks good. Now that I got it where I want it, what I'm gonna do is, that's what I'm looking for here. I'm gonna go ahead and screw on the shelf.
And what size screw are you using?
These are the 2.5 inch core screws.
Okay, and you're just drilling into pocket holes?
That's correct.
Okay. So let me try to get
Go ahead and
more
get
of a close-up.
top view so you can see
Okay.
what it looks like. And
There we go.
And I actually put 2 in each, 2
On
by
each
2.
side, okay.
Yeah.
And what size bit are you using?
Well, if you're using a Phillips, if you're using Phillips screws, you would use a Phillips bit, but this is actually pocket hole screws, so they
Okay.
actually come with a square bit.
Oh, cool, okay.
So let me go ahead and finish screwing.
Okay, Al. So what are we doing now?
So now I'm going to add up my last 2 pieces of support. And
Okay.
again, I'm going to follow my 20-inch mark that I laid out for myself.
Oh, and Al, what are the measurements for those support pieces that you're using?
So this one here is 28.5,
Okay.
and that's just the support for the back side. I'm going to use another one here for the side, and again, I'm just following my marks.
I just also want to share who came to help us. That's Ziggy over there. He's 15 years old. He's a little poodle. Okay, so
He thinks he's bigger than he is.
yes,
right?
he thinks he's a big Rottweiler. So I'll just really quickly, do these 28-inch pieces have pocket holes on both sides?
They do,
Okay.
and that's what I use to fasten.
Okay. And so these are 3 support pieces.
These are just the 2.
Oh,
And then the shelf actually
oh,
acts
sorry.
as a
Okay,
support.
2.
Yes.
Okay. And
I
that,
just want to make sure it's lined up.
that second piece, how many inches is that?
This one's 19.
19. Okay.
And again, I just want to make sure everything's lining up before I secure it. That's one side there.
And you again clamp them to make sure that they're leveled.
Yes, that's just so I could stay on my reference point.
Okay. So we don't make any extra holes, we're just putting the screws in the pocket holes.
Correct.
And this just helps the desk, give the desk a little bit more stability, right?
That's right.
Okay. I'm gonna move over to this side. It's really coming along.
And again, I'm just making sure everything lines up.
Okay.
And at this point, I'm just going to finish screwing it off, and then I'll go.
Alrighty, so this desk is really almost done, right?
It's pretty much done. Now that I finished screwing down the last supports, I'll go ahead and flip it over for you.
Okay.
What's good about this design, it's actually very lightweight and
Yeah.
very sturdy. So that's the finished product. Other than painting,
Okay.
And you can paint it, stain it, you leave it natural, whatever you want to do with it. The last thing I'm going to do to it before I actually paint it and sand it, I'm going to router the ends, and I could do one side for you now.
So can you show us what a router is?
So this is a router, and all this does is puts a nice radius around the corners, and that way you don't have to worry about getting splinters or anything.